At the end of the last chapter, I finally understood something that had been hiding in plain sight for most of my life. The marriage wasn't the pattern. He wasn't the pattern. The pattern was what I believed about love. The pattern was what I believed about myself. For years, I thought I was searching for the right relationship. What I was really searching for was a feeling of being chosen and valued. The feeling of finally being enough. And because I was searching for that feeling, I kept overlooking something important. I was asking other people to give me what I had never fully given myself: acceptance, grace, and permission to matter. Thinking back now, I can see how much energy I spent trying to earn things that should never have required earning: love, respect, honesty, consideration, partnership. I treated those things like rewards for being good enough. And every time someone failed to give them to me, I tried harder. I became more accommodating, easy to forgive, always available just in case this was that one-time thing that would work out in my favor. Willing to sacrifice it all just to be chosen by a man who couldn't care less. When God chose me a long time ago, I made no sacrifice for him who gave it all for me. I thought that if I could love someone well enough, they would eventually love me the same way. But life has a way of teaching us lessons we refuse to learn. And sometimes those lessons show up wearing different faces, different names, personalities, and circumstances. Yet, somehow the outcome feels strangely familiar. For years, I thought I kept meeting the wrong people. Then one day, I realized something that changed everything. Maybe the lesson wasn't about them, it was about me. Maybe God wasn't trying to punish me. Maybe He was trying to teach me. Because every relationship seemed to place the same question in front of me: would I finally choose myself? Would I finally trust what I was feeling? Would I finally stop abandoning my own needs to keep someone else comfortable? Or would I finally believe I was worthy of more? For a long time, my answer was no. Not because I didn't want better, but because I didn't fully believe I deserved better. That's a hard truth to admit, especially when you spent years convincing yourself you're strong. But strength isn't always what we think it is. Sometimes strength isn't staying. Sometimes strength is leaving. Sometimes strength isn't enduring another disappointment. It's believing you deserve something different. I remember the day I stopped looking at my marriage and started looking at my patterns. It felt like someone had turned on a light in a room that had been dark for years. Suddenly, everything made sense. Not because it hurt less, because it became clear. I could finally see how often I had ignored my instincts, how often I had explained away discomfort, how often I had accepted less than I needed, how often I had mistaken potential for character. That last one changed my life, because potential is seductive. Potential tells you who someone could become. Character tells you who they are. And for years, I fell in love with potential and betrayed myself for it. Meanwhile, reality was standing right in front of me the entire time. I just didn't want to see it. But healing has a funny way of changing your vision. The things you once ignored become impossible to miss. The things you once excused become impossible to justify. The things you once tolerated become impossible to accept. And that's exactly what happened to me. Little by little, I stopped focusing on what other people needed from me, and I started asking what I needed from myself. God, peace, and self love with boundaries being a necessity. I also learned that people will treat you the way you treat yourself. Be careful with how you show yourself love or lack thereof, and never allow anyone to get too comfortable thinking they know you better than you know yourself. The truth is, sometimes we know that we are being treated wrong in our relationship. We just choose to dim our light and be with people who are not worthy of even sitting at the table with us. But we are sometimes taught to compromise ourselves when we are kids, when we are not allowed to have an opinion or told to give hugs to people we don't feel comfortable around, that family friend or family member. And this is the beginning of self-betrayal to yourself. This is where we start ignoring our God instinct and lose trust in ourselves. I am not saying that all parenting is created equal, but when we are children, that foundation is made from what we are taught and what we see, and is not just at home. Young ladies are made to feel not enough unless they are married with kids, and young men are taught that unless they sleep with a lot of women, they are not manly. At least, this is what I saw growing up in my family. To be honest, the main people who were given this advice should not have had a say in anything, since their lives did not reflect their opinion of mine. But eventually, I learned something beautiful. Being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. I had experienced profound loneliness in relationships. I experienced loneliness while sitting beside someone. I experienced loneliness while wearing a wedding ring. What I discovered on the other side of healing was peace. And peace feels very different than loneliness. Peace doesn't require you to perform. Peace doesn't require you to earn your place. Peace doesn't require you to shrink. And peace allows you to be fully yourself. For the first time in my life, I began understanding what healthy love actually looked like. It doesn't require self-abandonment, and it doesn't demand that one person carry the emotional weight of the relationship. Love feels safe. And perhaps most importantly, healthy love never requires you to betray yourself. Today, when I look back at the woman who spent years trying to save relationships, I don't judge her. I see a woman who loved deeply and a woman who believed people could become better. And while those qualities caused her pain, they were never her problem. The problem was believing everyone deserved unlimited access to those gifts. That's what changed. Not my ability to love, my willingness to ignore myself. And if there's one thing this journey taught me, it's this. God will often allow the lesson to return until we learn what it's trying to teach us. The face may change, the relationship may change, and even the circumstances may change, but the lesson remains. And for years, I kept meeting the same lesson wearing different bodies. I thought I was meeting different people. I wasn't. I was presented with different opportunities to choose for myself, different opportunities to trust God, different opportunities to stop settling for what felt familiar and start choosing what was healthy. And the day I finally learned that lesson, everything changed. But because I stopped searching for my worth in places that could never provide it, I stopped asking other people to tell me who I was. I stopped auditioning for love and chasing validation. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt free. Free to become the woman God created me to be. Maybe that's what healing really is. Not becoming someone new, but finally becoming who you were all along. And that is how I broke the pattern. We're not just telling stories here, we're rewriting them.
Get your own table, so I did.